Welcome to George Floyd Live Talk. Today we have a very special guest. We are talking about the N word in the show. We are talking about Black MTL on the show. But right now, we are talking about the situation that is going on Nigeria that is very worrisome about SARS. But before we get into that conversation, I would like our guests to take 30 seconds to introduce themselves. We'll start off with Miss Nena. Nena, how are you doing today?
I'm good today, Malik. Thank you for having me. My name is Nainer, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay. Up next, we have Mr. Obi.
Hi, Malik. My name is Obi Ajulu. I'm the General Secretary of the Nigerian Canadian Association of Quebec. Thank you for having us.
Welcome. And Mr. Pius.
Hi, Malik. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. My name is Pius Ehinoma. I'm the president of the Edo People Association Montreal.
Okay, nice to have you guys on the show. I want to let people know that who are watching right now. If you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat, and our guests will gladly answer them. So let's talk about Nigeria before we get into the whole SARS situation and the massacre that happened recently. What is the makeup of Nigeria right now in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of religion? What's the makeup of Nigeria right now? Who wants to answer that? Ladies first. Nena, you want to answer?
I could go ahead. I'd say Nigeria is filled with many different cultures, and
Yes.
in terms of religions, we have Christian, Muslims, traditionalists, or like atheists. Not so many of them, but it's
Okay.
pretty mixed up, and the cultures vary diversely.
Okay. Perfect. And in terms of, is Nigeria still considered one of the richest countries in Africa?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because we do have the resources. No, because we're not properly managing them.
Okay. Okay. And I'll let you one of the guys answer this. Now, what's the problem in terms of not managing resources? Because I see different documentaries talking about, Nigeria being rich in oil, being rich in other resources, but the money's not going to the people. So what's the situation with that right now?
I think the problem is actually with the kind of leaders we have. It has a lot to do with incompetent leadership,
Okay.
a lack of accountability, nepotism. We can go on and on, but it really centers around the leadership.
Leadership. Okay. So let's talk about what's going on in Nigeria with this whole SARS situation. One, what is SARS and how long has it been around? And why is it really mostly targeting young people?
Uh,
Okay, SARS was something that came on board in Nigeria during the military, when the military was in power in Nigeria.
Okay.
It's an acronym for Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
Okay.
Initially, it was meant just to go after the robbers,
Okay.
to make sure that there is no crime. But as time goes on, you find out that these special units within the Nigerian police force, and they were not targeting the youth, the ordinary citizens on the street.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so it's been around for early 90s. It's been around. It's been there, and several times the government have tried to scrap it, and before you know it, they're back up again, and it's been around for a while. But lately, they've been targeting the youth, and that's why the uprising started.
Okay. Now, when you say it's been around for a while, it's been on, it's been off. Um, when was it put back into place?
That's the thing about Nigerian government. There's no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Once they release a statement that this SARS, they've abolished it,
Okay.
and when they are going to bring it back up, the citizens, they are not going to be aware that it's back up again. So several times, 2 or 3 times, it had been abolished, and before you know it, they are back up again. When the new IG comes in, it bring it back up again, and happened before. The only thing that never happened was the uprising when the people said enough is enough. But abolishing SARS has already become going on and off before now.
You know, so often here in North America, we talk about the Black Lives Matter movement here in North America because, you know, blacks are minorities, but also the Black Lives movement has inspired young blacks in Africa to uprising. So let's talk about the Black Lives Matter movement in Nigeria and the importance of it. Nana?
Of course. I would say that Black Lives Matter, like you have said, not just in the Western world, but also in the local parts of Africa as well. And the ability for Black African youth to stand up and say that we do have rights and we wish to exercise our rights. No longer would we be killed for no reason. No longer would we be extorted. No longer would we be raped. No longer would all of this injustice be allowed. And once we did, it's amazing the amount of energy that throughout Nigeria voice were able to speak for one goal, that end police brutality. There are so many ethnic divisions and so many different political parties and corners, but the ability of every Nigerian youth to speak with one voice has really been something that I would say Black Lives Matter has inspired.
Okay. Is this the first time that we're seeing such a major uprising with youth behind it in Nigeria, or has it happened before where the youth were uprising at this level? Because it seems to be very intense, or is it more that the world is glued on it now?
I would say that there have been uprisings in the past, but there has never been one like this, mostly organized by the youth.
Okay. I want to let people know right now we are talking about the whole Nigerian situation that's happening in Nigeria right now. Our guests are Mr. Pius, Mr. Obi, and Mrs. Nena, who are here as our specialists to talk about Nigeria. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. And don't forget that later on in the show, we have our special guests from MTL, Black MTL, that will be talking. And we also have special guests to be talking about the use of the N-word. So stay tuned. All show is going to be hot. If you have any questions for our guests, please put it in the chat. If you're from Nigeria right now and you're here watching the show, let me see those Nigerian flags in the chat right now. Let me know Nigerians in the building right now. Let's talk about the Lekki Tollgate massacre that happened recently, and why do you feel that the police or the army, we don't know exactly who, you know, had the audacity to just start firing at innocent people?
It's quite a tragedy. It's a surprising situation. Nobody ever expected that. Mm-hmm. And first of all, before I go on to say what I'm about to say, I want to thank you, Malik, for using your platform to bring more awareness to what actually happened at the Lekki Tollgate, because a lot of mainstream media are trying to shy away from it. I don't know why. There is a lot of videos circulating around the internet of how people were murdered by security forces of Nigeria on the 20th of October 2020. I actually witnessed this live on IG, Instagram Live. I saw people get shot. I actually saw people who were not professionals helping to take out bullets from citizens who were shot by the security forces who are actually saddled the responsibility of protecting them. There's a lot of videos out there, like I said before. We saw videos of military officers, people putting on military uniform, firing shots. And it's the most surprising thing is that the military in Nigeria have denied this. They have said nothing like that happened, even though there are video footages of this, even though a lot of people witnessed it live, even though a lot of people who were there have come out to speak. They've given actually eyewitness report about what happened. The reason why this would have been allowed to happen is as a result of the impunity by the government of Nigeria, in my opinion, because somebody must have given the order for that to happen. The soldiers would not just take out guns and go start firing at people without an order from a superior officer. So the question we are asking now is who gave the order? And we will not stop until people are held accountable for their actions. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of petitions going around. I want to encourage Nigerians out there and everyone who loves Nigerians to sign them because we need accountability. in this situation.
Okay, perfect. So, other than petitions, what else can we as Canadians, we as people outside of Nigeria, do to put pressure on the government and the powers that be to make a change in Nigeria?
Good. You are already doing your part, Malik. This is a very good avenue to bring more awareness to this. And I'm also calling on the government of Canada to say something about this, condemn this gruesome act.
Okay.
We know how the whole world leaders came together and rallied around the people of Paris after the Paris attacks, and how Canada offered to support the people of Paris.
Okay.
We also know how vocal the Prime Minister was after the Paris attacks.
Yes.
I was expecting something similar to that after the attacks in Nigeria, after the killings, the carnage at the Lekki toll gates. I was expecting something like that, but unfortunately, all I saw was a tweet from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which was okay. But I think Nigerians deserve more than a tweet from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Not just Canada, but world leaders have to say something about this, because there's a saying that injustice somewhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yeah.
So we have to try as much as possible, especially the government of Canada have to start by condemning this act.
Yes.
Because the silence is getting louder and louder as each day passes.
Okay. So right now, I'm going to put this information on the screen right now of the nc-montreal.com. Let people know by going to that website what they can find and what they can do by going to this website.
Thank you, Malik.
Thank you, Malik.
Oh, yeah, but let us know what people can, when they go to the website, what are they going to find and what can they do if they go to the website?
When they go to the website, they're going to know more about the Nigerian Canadian Association.
Okay.
The Nigerian Canadian Association actually is a non-governmental organization that helps Nigerians who arrive Canada better integrate into the larger Canadian society.
Okay.
We also help our old and elderly, and we create programs and events for our kids to help them build self-esteem and confidence. And we also try to inculcate the Nigerian cultural values into the Nigerian children here in Canada.
Okay, cool. We got Ibo Ronke, who's on the line right now. He says he's praying, and he says thanks to DJ Switch.
Yeah.
Who's DJ Switch? That's you guys?
No.
Yes, DJ Switch is a popular Nigerian musician. I actually watched the live streams on her Instagram live feed.
Okay. What do you guys feel is the biggest misconception people have of Nigeria and that you guys want to demystify right now?
I just want to quickly go into the area of why the uprising started.
Okay.
The first place. These youth within the Nigerian police force that was created to prevent and go after criminals. They started going after the youth, and there was this saying that there's this saying that was going on in Nigeria again, was that having an iPhone is not equivalent to having an AK-47, because when what these policemen were doing was every young man they see, they harass you, and if you cannot bail out yourself right away, instantly, they take you to the station, and if you don't have the money, you end up sometimes being killed. It's something that was rampant within Nigeria. Personally, I was there this past It happened to me personally when I was on my way back home to Canada, and the car I was riding on with my younger brother. The policemen, they came and they said, "Okay, where's your phone? Where's the phone?" You see, one of the reasons why the youth were fed up, the reason why the setup. It's because of the impunity that this special unit has, that they can do anything and they go scot free. And they've been doing this for years.
Okay.
And thank God for social media. If not for social media, they would have still been doing it. And for the fact that we have social media, that the voice, the youth, they were able to mobilize themselves and say enough is enough. Like I was saying, the next thing they said was that, can I have your phone? How can somebody step up to you? The first thing they're going to ask you, can I have your phone?
Yeah.
And the time I tried it, as you said, I saw them raising the gun in front of me and saying, if you don't provide it, I was like, oh, okay. I gave them my phone after
Yeah.
everything and they were trying to extort. Then the extortion has started. And if not for the fact that I was still having something with me and my flight is like in 2 hours, I
Okay.
believe I've been detained for nothing, just because
Mm-hmm.
and just because I was having an iPhone. So stuff like this is what has been happening, and the youth, they said it's enough. And there's this, like you said, going to the question,
Okay.
leadership. Like my brother rightly said, leadership has always been the issue of Nigerian anytime.
Yeah.
The Nigerian citizens, Nigerians, they are hardworking people. You find Nigerians in every sphere of life, they are successful in everything they embark on. But
Yeah.
for the fact that our leaders, we're still having 1950s leaders in Nigeria. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine having a president that is 80 something, close to 90 years old? And most of the politicians that are ruling us today, they some of them don't even know how to send emails.
Yeah, I know. I
So,
know. It's
and,
crazy.
and because of that,
Mm-hmm.
they being able to project the overall image of the country to the outside world. But we, as Nigerians, we're doing our best. Nigerians are all honest people. They hardworking,
Yeah.
and just the fact that our leadership back home is the problem.
Yeah.
And we're calling also on international community to, because the government right now,
So
what's
Pius,
happening?
Pius. So right now, I want to read some comments that we have.
Mm,
Ibaronke says basically they're treating us like criminals, and I agree that. And I want to let people know, if you want to make a difference, please go to this website right now that you see on the screen, and pray for Nigeria and use the hashtag #EndSARS. Hashtag #EndSARS. I want to thank Pius, Obi, and Nena for coming on the show, and we're here. We're supporting you. We appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Malik.
And
Thank you,
thank you
Mike.
guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. So up next, we are going to be talking about Black MTL. So we have the people who put together Black MTL who are going to introduce themselves to the show. How you guys doing today?
We're doing well, and you?
Good, 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 good. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
No, it's important. I just love, when you guys came up with this whole idea, I thought it was such an important thing to do. And I commend you guys as being entrepreneurs and young pioneers in doing it. So before we get into Black MTL, please introduce yourselves. We'll start off with Marley.
Hi, I'm Marley. I am co-founder and co-CEO of Black Montreal, and I'm a dear friend of Kayla's. And go ahead, Kayla.
I'm Kayla. I'm founder and CEO of Black Mtl.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love to see that young energy, that YFL energy. So let's talk about where the whole idea came about and why do you guys feel it was important to create Black MTL?
So I started the idea right at the peak of all the, I know that racial injustices have been going on for a long time in the States,
Yes.
for hundreds of years. But I think at the pandemic, on top of the racial injustices, I felt that there was really the need for Black people to come together for us to buy Black, for us to support the community. And myself personally, I didn't know how to start. So I said, you know what, I'm going to create this Facebook group and we're going to buy Black and we're going to support everyone and everyone's going to be able to have a safe space, right? And I created it on June 3rd. It must have been like 3 o'clock after work. And within hours, it blew up and I'm still so proud of it. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I asked Marley if she wanted to tag along and help out. And she said yes. And we're on this journey together.
Yeah, I mean, it came at a time where, as she said, you know, like, it's just boiling over, you know what I mean? People's feelings of powerlessness and just not knowing how to help our own. So in seeing her start this group, I just felt that it was a way to help our community and to just take action and not just, you know, stay there and be like, what can I do? So it was really cool. It's really, we're just so proud to see the community shine. Like, we're seeing so much positive feedback from the people finding each other on their businesses, getting clients, finding, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing to see us shine.
Yeah. You know, we're happy for that right now. So, you know, shout out to Black MTL, you know, doing their thing. For people who are just tuning in right now, we are with the creators and co-creators of the Facebook group called Black MTL. If you have any questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Don't be shy. So were you guys surprised at the amount of interest and how quickly it blew up?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I just created it one day after work because I really felt the urge that I needed to do something. And that's the type of person that I am. I like to do things and help the community. So I just created it. And like I said, within the same night, it just blew up and definitely not what we expected. But definitely really happy with the outcome.
Yeah, we're definitely really happy about how it expanded, but I don't think anyone was expecting that.
For sure. No.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we are with the co-creators of Black MTL. Don't forget, later on in the show, we will be discussing the N-word with Mr. Duke Eatman, Mr. Renzo Dashington. So stay tuned. We'll be discussing it with them. What has been your biggest challenge so far with putting together this this Facebook group?
Marley, you can go ahead.
I'd say maybe organizing ourselves.
Okay.
Because I don't know, you know, like, as you said, we're young and, you know, we're new business owners. And so we didn't necessarily expect it to blow up as quickly as it did. We're not mad. We're super happy, super proud of the progress that we've made. But I think it's just like finding our footing and organizing ourselves that was maybe a little harder. But as the time goes by, we're also growing in confidence and understanding what our power and our I don't know, like, our platform really is. And we see like so many members of the community reaching out, wanting to help. Like, even we put out a call for moderators recently and we had so many like responses. We have a few moderators on the team now. It's really, I think it was the organization and also dealing with sometimes negative feedback, knowing that, like, because we're just kind of learning how to navigate, but we also have to remember that for anything to be done well and for any project to start well, it takes time and we need to put in, you know, quality work. So I think right now, though, we're building in our confidence too.
Okay, nice. Let's read a couple of comments from the chat right now. We have Tyler Vance Crawley who says, proud of y'all. All right. We also have Richard T. Well, you just answered that question. Was there any negative feedback from outsiders? You already answered the question. Yeah,
there definitely was a lot of negative feedback, especially in the beginning. I think now it's more positive, I would say.
Yes.
That was hard to deal with the negative feedback, knowing that we're trying to do something good for the community, and we're taking our free time to do this, but people weren't able to see that, which is fine because we're still going to keep doing what we're doing, and yeah, we have a bigger plan ahead of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another question that we have from Richard T is he wants to know, how do you guys deal with the negative feedback?
At first it was a little hard, I'm not gonna lie. Just because, we started with such a positive idea, and to see so much negative feedback and people just telling us that we were doing everything wrong was a little hard. But again, like, we just know that doing something of quality and something good takes time and effort. And so we also started focusing just more on the positive feedback that we got from happy community members and happy business owners. And I think that focusing more on just where our direction is going and where and how we're impacting the community positively, it just helped us kind of change our focus and focus back, for me personally, I'd say.
Okay, cool. Like, it's always important to support Black businesses. I just put the logo of a Bistro Nola, and that's Richard right now.
Ooh, Bistro Nola is really good. Really good.
Yeah, you hear that, Richard? They say your food is really good.
Yeah, is it the one in the West Island, the Bistro Nola?
Yeah, Bistro Nola.
It's so good. It's really good.
Richard says, reach out if anything. He says, reach out.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Thank you, Richard. We appreciate it.
All right. So what's the next level for you guys? Are you guys going to be creating a website? Are you guys going to be creating different platforms where you can turn this into a revenue stream? What's next for you guys?
So we definitely are working on some pretty cool things behind the scenes. But given that we haven't launched anything just yet, we don't want to give out too many details.
Okay.
Definitely within the new year, there's definitely going to be some cool things that Black Montreal is putting out. But yeah, we definitely, because we, like Marley said, one of our, I guess, we failed to organize properly. Okay. So now that we're really getting organized, we have a really great team behind us, and we are really structuring everything and planning everything to be effective. So that way in January when we launch our project.
Okay.
But as you said, like, yes, at the end of the day, our goal is to generate revenue, to create, to put this into a real business, to be on different platforms, and to just keep building Black-owned businesses.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the goal. The goal is for everyone to buy Black, take it really far.
Yeah, and I'm excited to say that I'm a big fan of Black MTL. I share my information on Black MTL. It's a great platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see, what your expansion is going to be. We also have Debbie Clark, who says, very proud of your efforts.
Thank you
for saying that. And for people who are watching right now, we are with the co-creators of Black MTL. And up next, we do have Mr. Renzo Dashington and Mr. Duke Eatman, who will be discussing the N-word. So stay tuned, because that's going to warm up. That's going to heat up. Ladies, any closing words that you guys like to say to your fans that are watching right now?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with us. We started off with, 0 people in the group, and now we have over 40,000 people in just 4 months, which is amazing. So thank you. Thank you for riding with us, because we started from nothing, and now we're started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, and just keep sticking with us and be patient with us, and we promise to do great things.
And we appreciate all the feedback, whether it's negative.
Oh my God, yeah.
We definitely take it in, and we're trying to do better for everyone. This is beyond Marley and I. It's for the community. It's for Black Montreal. It's for everyone. We realize that Black people, we can come together, and we are powerful together.
Yeah.
Right. Union fait la force.
Exactly.
Let's try to explain that to people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's the point of the community, is just to have a real strong community. And so thank you for anyone who is in the community, and we love you guys, and we're gonna keep working hard for you.
Yeah. And Duke Eatman shouts you guys out. Duke says, congratulations to you guys. Good job, ladies. Duke Eatman says that.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I want to thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate that. People, it's very important that you share this interview. Let's educate people. Share it. Like this
And
so you know what's going on in the Malik Shaheed TV page. Like it. Share it.
And just one last thing, if you do want to join the group, you could just kind of search in Facebook, Black MTL, Building Our Community, and you should find it and be able to join the group. It's called Black MTL, Building Our Community.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll be happy to have you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Take care, ladies, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Malik.
Really appreciate
Thank you. Thank you. Up next, we have the ones, the only. You see him on CBC Radio, TV, Mr. Duke Eatman, and le comédien, l'humoriste, Mr. Renzo Dashington.
How are you, people?
How's everything?
Good. How's everything on your side? How you doing, Duke?
I'm good. Happy for you guys to be on the show. You know what I mean? So before we get into the nitty-gritty, please introduce yourselves. Mr. Duke, introduce yourselves, please.
Well, before I take the opportunity to do that, I must thank the two ladies from Black MTL that just joined us, who are doing an incredible job, extremely articulate, very informative tonight, and thank you for sharing their time on your show and platform. Also, our brothers and sisters from Nigeria, who are sharing something very, very important with our community, because we're all Nigerian, we're all Haitian, we're all Jamaican, we're all Black. Their problem is all our problem. All right. And lastly, I got to thank you and commend you on the job that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And whether it's a topic that we're going to get into now or any topic, the key to addressing these things is to follow in your footsteps with this sort of platform that you've named after George Floyd, who gave his life in such a brutal fashion. And you've been active before this platform. You're active now, and you're going to be active after. And we have to support that. And I praise you for all the work that you do in our community. So we got to take the time out to praise Malik Shaheed and to always tune in every Wednesday and watch what you're doing. My name is Duke Eatman. You can catch me every day on CBC Radio 1. Do various musical projects there, different segments, as well as filling in for current affair talk shows and that sort of thing. And got some new projects on the way as well. Hopefully we'll get to talk about them right here on Malik Shaheed TV.
All right. Mr. Renzo Dashington.
Hey, Malik. So, Renzo Dashington, I'm a Montreal born and raised, former music executive. In the last 5 years, I've reinvented myself as a comedian, I guess. So, I'm also a part of a collective called the Bad Boys to Real production company that puts together mostly first-generation Canadians from the Montreal scene that are doing, I guess, the purest version of Montreal comedy. I also host on Instagram a show called C'est quoi le bail, where we've been able to talk about, I guess, a little bit like do current affairs and things that concern us, things that are happening in Montreal, but from a point of view that's not being explored much. And through that process, I've been able to use my voice to talk about police brutality during the summer. George Floyd's been important in the program, and just how we get involved in our communities more. And more recently, I've had a few, let's say, interesting conversations with media people about the use of the N-word in public spaces.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because, there's a way where I feel French media uses the N-word very freely, and then there's a way where French media does not dare and knows not to use the N-word. So why do you feel that French media is so comfortable using the N-word?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
I think it's two parts to that. One of them is there's been no genuine public conversations on the subject, real ones, where I like to say in the 80s we used to say the F word in reference to people that are maybe more effeminate or maybe homosexuals, but there were real conversations in society that made it so people were first aware and then made conscious decisions for themselves. And I think Quebec, because of the way media has been structured, because our voices are not really present, has not had a real conversation on the subject. And to some degree, it's the last 10 days has been the most that there's been. On the other end, I think it's just general immaturity and carelessness.
Okay. What about you, Duke? Because I know the English media will never use the N-word live, especially CBC and CTV and Global. These guys will never use it.
Yeah, because we're gonna have a fight. You and I, Shahid, have known each other since we were 13, 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Usage of the N-word when we were young meant a fight, a physical one.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, I wasn't shocked or surprised when I heard the story, simply because my philosophy is that you will not go to the house of the man that's responsible for your oppression to educate you or your children on your history. All right. I remember being 11 years old. My father was an incredible prize fighter during his time in the 50s and 60s. He was a Canadian middleweight and light heavyweight Golden Glove champion.
Oh, wow.
And I remember pulling out a fight poster that I didn't know existed, digging in my father's things. And I just saw this picture of my father. It was at the Paul Solvay Arena, which doesn't exist anymore. And I mean, he was just cut. Beautiful poster. Well, I guess the other way, he's a southpaw. And had his name, his record, and it said versus, and some French Canadian cat. And then I remember my father coming into the room and snatching the poster away from me.
Okay.
And my mother, for whatever reason, was right behind him. And she says, you should just let him see it. He's got to learn at some point.
Okay.
And it was a bit of a tussle. I don't mean a physical one. They were, discussing whether or not I should see it. And my father just let it go. And he said, whatever. And he walked out of the room. And looked at the rest of the poster. And underneath my father's name and his record, well, let's talk about the French cat. Underneath his name and his record, it said Québécois.
Okay.
And under my father's name and record, it said Negre.
Wow.
Like my father came from Negro land.
Wow.
Or and this was 1961. 1961. And I understood why my father was apprehensive, because I really had this pit in the feeling of my stomach. But it wasn't the first time I heard that word. I've been called that word many times as a kid. But really, you have to now look at the road that sort of led to this. The N-word, or anything that's self-derogatory towards black folks, is really just a symptom of an illness that's been here for hundreds of years.
Yeah. We
use it amongst ourselves. I don't.
But
black folks use it amongst themselves as a term of endearment. I never have.
I don't view it.
I don't understand why. But if you really think the N-word is the only thing that we utilize that's a symptom of a greater illness of self-hatred and derogatory feelings within ourselves as black people, you're sadly mistaken. If we were to go through the history of why people wear baggy pants, or why people wear their pants low, a lot of these things, you're going to find things that date back to slavery and beyond. And until we actually address those things and we actually look at that, this is always going to be a problem. But in regards to other people educating you about your history and who you are, why are we doing that? Why don't we have our own institutions to educate our people on our own history?
We had the Garvey Institute.
Well, yeah, but we need it now. We need colleges. We need universities. When you look at the stats in the United States, 25% of black students, male and female, who graduate in the fields of science, mathematics, and engineering, graduate from historical black colleges and universities.
Okay.
And a ridiculous amount of undergraduate students that go on to other universities like Harvard or whatnot, or Yale, or wherever it is that they're going, go to black colleges as undergraduate students. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that educating our own people already has a success rate to begin with. You can't debate that. That's the great thing about mathematics and numbers. They don't lie. And so it's going to have to be up to us as people to decide what it is that we want to invest in. Are we going to invest in our future? And our future being our children and our grandchildren, whatnot. And part of that has to do with our education as well.
I want
And it's-
to add to something, if you don't mind, Duke.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked about using the N word, and in some Black people using the N word amongst each other, right? But the interesting thing, in French, that never happened. Like, there's no parts of French music that uses the N word in a brotherly way, the same way it might be in English music or American music, because a lot of African music doesn't use the word. It's not a part of their culture, right?
Actually, historically, though, that's incorrect, because one of my favorite
I'm talking about
groups,
pop music today, like
one of
Black music today. Right?
One of my favorite groups from Montreal, Mozion, had a song called La Vie Tineg.
Yeah, where you're wrong on that, if I may, Duke, is that Mozion is a Creole group, and neg is a part of the Creole language, probably rooted in the same word. But it means man or woman. It only means man or woman. So it's not something that people like N-word. You understand? It's not something. So when French Canadians are saying, well, you use it in music. Well, right now, French Canadians that are fighting for the right to use it, no matter the circumstances, are fighting to be the only people on the territory that actually use it. So it's white people wanting to be able to use the N-word. That's there's a conversation around the debate, but there's no debate. It's themselves by themselves. Last year was a conversation about what's the word for when you say yes and the person accepts? What's the word for, that the last year's word for dating when someone consent. Last year was about consent, right? Most Black people were saying no, and white French Canadians are like, yeah, but no. Like, most of us are like, no, there's no context, it's a very, the few people that are trying to have the conversation, it's an intellectually dishonest conversation, because even if you needed to use the word, the N word is something that we all use and understand as intelligent people, that's what that means. If there was a necessity to refer to it, they want the joy of saying that nasty motherfucking word for no other reason than white supremacy. It's rooted in racism and nothing else. Maybe
they're not going to stop using it. They're not going to stop using it. And like the great De La Soul said in the song Intro to Stakes is High, it said De La Soul is here to stay like racism. Racism's never going anywhere. Hatred of Black people is never going anywhere. Self-hatred of our own people, we can deal with and we can address.
So let me ask you that.
It's never going anywhere. The question is, what are we going to do to circumvent that?
So before we get to that question, let me just read a couple comments here. We have Lisa Dubois, who said, I went to French school, and trust me, it's normal for them. Alex and Diana Rose said a wow, and Pavola said a wow over Duke's father's story. Lisa Dubois says, kids used to say I was pretty, and they thought they were giving me a compliment, and it was normal for them to use it. Richard T says, thank you for saying about the word. Golden Versace says, neg means man or woman, no in a derogatory way. Maurice Gray says, it's painful to hear about these racist experiences in Quebec. Unfortunately, it's no big surprise. Tammy Tuesday says something, small D energy.
What's up, Tammy?
So what was your question now, Duke? Did you want to put to people?
No, it's not so much a question as to it still amazes me why people expect any different.
But how do we educate?
I mean, from my part, I don't think it's about that. And you guys, we all know Montreal is a special place where French and English cohabit, but they live in different spaces, right? I mostly live in French, okay? So I wouldn't have these kinds of issues with an Anglo person living that even speaks French as well. Like, this is about something else. This is truly about, someone's trying to put, their boot on your neck in some way. There's no reason for this conversation. There's no necessity for it. Like, this is really about saying, this is our house and this is how we want. And, I've been going to different media outlets, but mostly using my voice on Instagram. And a lot of people have been writing to me, I haven't heard somebody in the media say no. not leaving room. You know, Duke was saying when I was growing up, and we're more or less same generation. When I was growing up, you want to say the N-word in my face, we're gonna fight. It doesn't matter where we're at because it's an act of aggression. I don't have the time to know if you mean this in a nice way, because in my book, there's no nice way to say it.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So all these people, a lot of these white people not had enough beatings. You feel me? They've been around a lot of people that have let them think there was a limit to which it was acceptable. And I'm not putting the fault on them, but I want to talk about, because you said, why are people still surprised? No, we're not surprised. We're still trying to change the narrative for our children.
Let me ask you a question, Renzo. Why do you feel that the French Black community has been so chill and silent about it? Like, you know, the Black community, they're in an uproar, English. But I find the French are just very calm. You know, I mean, they're not really going ham like the way they should be.
I think it's a mix of many things. I think our parents, the way they were about these situations, more in the let's deal with the stuff we can control. They are the way they are type thing. So just accepting that things are not going to change, right? So I think we got some of that from our parents. But I see something different because I'm born here, right? So I'm not an immigrant. I don't know what it feels like to feel like maybe you might be sent back home type thing. Like, I was born here. So people my generation that have children, now they're 2 generations in, they're saying enough.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that right now this conversation has bled into classes of high school students with teachers who do not have what it takes to carry that conversation. And now you have Black children having to defend at 15-year-old the position and history of Blackness to a grown person who has the power to carry their grade and their year. That's a dangerous place to be in. So children are leading right now. Yeah, children are the ones that are on the front lines of why it might cost them to be militant. This is the reality of what's going on right now.
So this is a great question from Tammy Tuesday. They tolerate us. We are not sitting at their table. We are tending to it. There is a difference. I feel like at this point, we've been talking. What is the next move, Duke and Renzo? What's the next move for Black people, for us to put an end, or try to put an end to this and make our point clear? Because, you know, I'll give you an example. Like Guy Lepage, even after the whole Pratique Legacy incident, he still used the N-word when he had those people on the show, and they just stood there like, and didn't say nothing.
I mean, about them, it's a delicate situation, and I'm not in their shoes. It's difficult to say because, you know, being on TV like that and just, it's impressive. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what their experience is, and just being in that moment, and this guy's a celebrity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if this guy, like I was on Instagram, right? And not Instagram, I was on Twitter, and I said, if I was on the show, I would have gotten up. And he said, oh my God, that's crazy. If you had left, people wouldn't have gotten how mad you are about this. I'm like, man, how white are you? Like, how white are you that you don't get that? If you say the N-word and I get the fuck up, that's what that means. And all these people that sat, I understand, or at least I can have some empathy for why they stayed. But they're also a part of the problem, because if they had all gotten up, they are creating a problem that would need to be resolved, and then maybe we move on to a new normal. But people are just so tolerant that unfortunately change is uncomfortable. And we've been nice for a long time. It's about time to change strategy.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help either when you had the premier saying that it's okay to use it anywhere in a university setting. You know what I mean? Because that just sets a bad precedent. And, you know, and I also encourage a lot of parents to start attending these board council meetings at the school board, you know what I mean, to know what's going on. And the next one at the Leslie Pearson School Board is November 9th. And I don't know if you guys heard, but yesterday there is a book with the N-word in it that's being used. It's a workbook that's being used in English schools right now. You know what I mean? The N-word is spelled out. And it's been around for 3 years, and I can't believe no one said anything.
Brother, if I may, getting rid of this problem is like saying we're going to get rid of hatred, or we're going to get rid of negativity. Black institutions for Black people in all walks of life. Every other community does it. No other community is afraid to do it. Malcolm X taught us 60 years ago that we don't think we can do anything without white society.
Lack of confidence.
Yeah, that's you. I'm really not really interested in convincing anybody. I'm really convinced of the next generation, and I'm really more concerned rather of the next generation, that we build our own institutions to educate our own. We got to stop begging somebody else to teach our young what we want them to be taught when we could do it ourselves.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? Like, you know, we're so used to these free handouts. I'm so comfortable with it. We're comfortable. That's the problem.
I mean, unless you guys are ready to go to war, I'm trying to change it for today. I mean, I hear where Duke's coming from, and I actually agree. Like, I would love a world where we're self-sustained, but in the world that we are, there are means to be self-sustained, and making sure that some of our small businesses have enough of a base of clientele of us so that they can survive, so that even
That's
white
where it
people
starts. But that's where it starts, right?
We're not nobody's ready to kill and fish
business
right now,
people,
you know?
black community. And the thing is, we can
Right,
do it in
and
so
then
many
media
different
and then what
ways.
you're doing and encouraging each
But
other
it's-
and sharing our content
it's-
and educating each other. But
It's so much easier.
even
It's
if
so
we're
much
at our own
easier.
land, dude, even if we're at our own land, these French Canadian people, they come and kill you if they don't understand. Like, we need to take a stand. We need to show some teeth. Like,
Well, I'll tell you
Malik said
something.
something, and he was talking about the people on the plateau, and I don't want to use them as an example because they're not the issue. But white people have been used to saying some crazy ass shit and never have to pay for it. In one way or another. It's not about violence. It's really about taking a stand for stuff and saying, nah, we don't mess with y'all like that. In a world where we have other outlets to talk to people, to express ourselves, to express however we might feel about you, we don't need you anymore. Like, we could talk out loud and people will listen.
But that's exactly what self-sufficiency is all about. When you're self-sufficient in economics, in education, in business, in every aspect of what society needs, right?
Yeah,
You could care less what other people think about you, especially when
definitely.
you've been asking people for 400 years to love you, and they're not.
Yeah.
They just won't.
Definitely.
So instead of begging the man for a seat at his table, why don't you just build your own table?
How can, let me just read a couple of comments. We have some interesting comments here. Lisa Dubois says, next move is to educate children in school about Black history and why this is wrong. This is wrong in using the word. I agree. You know, I do Black history tours, but, you know, that's once a year you get in the schools. And the problem is that, you know, the history books are ran by the Ministère de l'Éducation. They basically control what's going on in those books. That's another problem. Richard T says, we as Black people need to check our peeps in our community using the word. Back in the day, the elders will not tolerate mom and pop, will not allow the use of the N-word.
Rich is right.
Yeah. Richard T, my grandma would have whooped me and my brother because of that. Tammy Tuesday says. Lisa Dubois says, my kids told me people were talking about the Black pass in school where a Black kid can have a white kid a pass to use the N-word, finishing with that. That gets me so, I hurt you so much. Because another thing also with the pass is you got these local rappers now giving non-Black rappers a pass to use the N-word in their lyrics. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is Quebec here. This is not the U.S.
You know, but, you know, we got to understand something, that we need to make the problems of all Black people all our problems. And once we understand that, it also sets a different mindset. Like you were asking the difference between French and English communities, right? And why there's been a different uproar. Doesn't really matter. Really, at the end of the day, what affects one of our brothers and sisters is supposed to affect all of us.
I agree.
You understand? And there's been a mentality of separation and segregation amongst our people, and it becomes a brainwashing element, and it dictates how it is that we choose to deal with issues like this when they come up. So if I don't necessarily understand why something affects my brother from another Black community, I don't need to understand it. I just need to stand up for him, and I need to back him for it.
Easier said than done, because we don't do that, dude. You know, I know for years I've been promoting.
Well, I didn't tell you what it is that we've done. I'm telling you what we need to do.
Yeah.
Because other communities can be just as divided along ideological lines, cultural lines, religious lines. But if you attack certain communities, they come together and they form a front, right? And once that attack has been warded off, then they go back to discussing things amongst themselves and arguing amongst themselves. But there has to be a common front for people to be united whenever attacked. And I think this teacher using this word was a form of attack. But we can't be divided on our opinion as to how we're going to deal with it. You can't do it, And that has to be the opinion across the board.
Yeah.
Whether or not you fully understand it or not.
So how do we change the minds of the newer generation right now?
Well,
We need to start from the cradle to enforce positive images. We need to, like Brother Richard, was stating earlier, there were certain things that our elders didn't accept.
Yeah.
If this current generation doesn't really understand what its black children needs, then it needs to be educated. We need to educate our own.
Yeah.
I remember the movie Lean on Me, which was about Principal Joe Clark from Eastside High School. And he said, you know what, if their parents can't read, we can bring them to school also.
Yeah.
If there's people in our community that don't understand what needs to be implemented, we need to reach out each one and teach one, each one and teach two if we have to. But there has to come to a point where it stops, and really we can try to insulate and we can try to protect our children from what it is that they're going to receive from the outside world as much as we can. But at the end of the day, it's up to us to have our own independence and our own world, and we can't stop the way people think about us.
Renzo, what do you got to say about that, Renz?
I think we need to support the children. I think I disagree with Duke. And right now, I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram. And I mean, I'm 1 or 2 generations removed from the kids that are 17, 18, 20 right now. And I'm seeing people that have access to information I didn't have at their age. They know way more about the history of the black fight than we did at our age. They are more conscious. They are trying to do the right thing. But there are no parents right now in front of any school right now where these white teachers were saying some racist stuff. There are no black parents in front of none of these motherfucking schools right now. We need to support these children because they're doing this alone, just like our generation. And we're not immigrants, you feel me? Like we should know better. We should be helping them, raising them up, doing better, but adding energy to whatever they got going, because they're the ones telling us about these racist teachers. What did we do about this when we were going through it? And it's the same motherfucking teachers. So I think these kids are way more open and woke than we ever were. We need to accept that we're not leading anymore. It's their world, and ask them what they need from us. That's what I think.
Yeah, and like I always mention, I'm going to reiterate again, parents, you need to get involved, get on the parents committees, get on the go to the council board meetings at your school and your board and voice your opinion, because we can't do it alone. We need people behind us making noise. Any closing words, guys? Because we could be here all night.
I mean, for my part, I think I just want to say congratulations on everything that's going on, and to keep staying, active. You've been a part of this community forever and doing everything you can to, you're a face that people know and recognize, through many generations. And I don't know how many sparks you've inspired, but I remember being 18 years old to go into some of your shows, brother. So you made me see that some stuff is possible. So 20 odd years later, I've done a few things, and then you were a part of that journey. So we don't know how we inspire people, but at this moment, at our age, all of us gentlemen, it's not about us anymore. It's about the kids.
I agree. I'll let people know that I'm doing an actual George Floyd live talk school tour, and actually I'm hitting up a school in 2 weeks. That's my first show. And I go in there and I talk about, systemic racism. We talk about, the George Floyd effect. We talk about different topics that affect, the black communities. And also, of course, we talk about the N-word and so forth.
I agree with Brother Renzel. We need to support this generation in their fight and everything that they're doing. We need to be right beside them. This is their world. They're leading the way. We also, at the same time, need to be contributing to creating our own world, like communities all over the world have done. To not always be looking for a seat at a table where you're not invited, but to create our own table and to create our own institutions where we won't even have to have these discussions anymore.
Yeah. And, I want to let people know also that there's a program that I'm working with Brian Smith. It's called YouthLeadersOfTomorrow.com. And part of Youth Leaders of Tomorrow is giving out free lessons on Black history, educating kids on entrepreneurship, coding, and it's free. So,
That's
I
what
like
I'm
to,
talking about.
youthleadersoftomorrow.com. Go check it out. It's free. Parents, there's no excuses now. Every Saturday we're doing different talks, motivational talks. We're doing coding. We're doing entrepreneurship.
You know what you're doing? You know what you're doing? You're doing a microcosm of what I just described.
Yeah.
What I just described, you're the living embodiment of it.
Yeah.
Just on a smaller scale, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. So
but it's the same thing. It's our world, our people.
Exactly. So I need parents to, sign up your kids. It's free. No excuses now. Saturday mornings we're there online doing it big. All right. So I need more parents to come and be part of this. And I want to thank Mr. Renzo Dashington for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Of course, man. I loved your energy and the way you're putting that conversation out regarding, guys like, Patrick Lagacé and Mr. Lapage, because I'm in total disagreement the way they're going on. And I was just very hurt, disappointed that there wasn't more uproar in the Francophone Black community. But, we got to put a fire on all communities. We got to work together and make a difference.
Let's go.
And Mr. Duke, continue doing your thing. We appreciate you representing us on TV.
I'll try, brother. I'll try. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
And Renzo, the way you're going now, I wouldn't be surprised if they give you a segment on one of these shows. They need to have you there.
You know what? I'm not looking for that. I'm growing through my own community. I'm a comedian. I can't wait to get back on stage, perform, make the people laugh and think. That's what. TV's great, but that's not what I do. I just can't wait to hit the stage again.
Okay. Tammy Tuesday says you're the king, Renzo.
Thank you, Tammy.
Rochelle Wilson says, "Hey, Duke." All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
My girl, Rochelle.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
For coming on the show, guys. I appreciate that. Respect.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Anytime, brother.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to read a couple of comments. We have a lot of interesting comments that are here that people said. Tammy Tuesday says, I hear you, Duke, and I agree, but I hear Renzo also. Right now, we got no choice to a certain extent to function, and whites being unfortunately at the top of the food chain. It's our current reality. Alex says, we are not trying to get rid of cruelty or racism. We are just trying to create a world with a minimum respect. Well, I'm trying to, if I can get rid of cruelty and racism, I'll do it. Maurice says, what comes to my mind is Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet, the song, The Anti-N-Word Machine. Marley G says, I feel like it's hard to make a change like this because I feel like in the media, the conversation is mostly controlled by white people. They are not trying to hear how we truly feel. But, Marley G, I agree what you're saying, but it's platforms like this, voices like this that make a difference. And people like yourself that also make a difference. Alex B says, we wish we all had Wakanda, but right now that can be the only answer. Bruce Bizzo from Florida says, exactly about reuniting all Black, brown brothers and sisters. Yep, exactly what Duke said. We got to reunite no matter our color. Rochelle Wilson says, we as people, community in Montreal, we are too divided. I agree. I've been fighting this for decades, trying to reunite Francophones and Anglophones. Ricky D and I started it doing parties. I'm still trying to do it, but it's an uphill battle. To Tidra Harris St. Pierre, Black history is Canadian history. That's right. Here in Montreal, we had a great resource called Black Biblio, which is done by Dorothy Williams. Shout out to Dorothy Williams. It was created specifically to meet the Quebec curriculum requirements. It's even bilingual. If you want to back a project, I've already sent my donation to help them get their resource online. Look up Black Biblio. Yes, that's by Dorothy Williams. And actually, we already have a copy of her resource. And it's a great resource. You guys should check it out. Black Biblio. And Bruce Bizzo says, let's do shows about generational wealth and how to accomplish it. Bruce, hit me up. We'll get you on our workshop with kids if you want to do anything regarding generational wealth and how to accomplish this. I think it's very important. Lisa Dubois, getting to politics is a great way because when Legault says there's no systemic racism, it doesn't help the cause. I agree. So much stuff here. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget, we are here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. for Culture Nation, which is more of an entertainment show. And we are here at 9 p.m. for George Floyd Live Talk, which is more of a show regarding political issues and social issues affecting the community. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please share this. It's very important that we get the message out and educate just not Black people, but people, all types of people, about the negative use of the N-word. And again, like I said, we have our program, youthleadersoftomorrow.com. Go sign your kids up right now, people. It's free. It's great material where you're doing on Saturdays for kids. Sign them up right now. And like this page, Malik Shahid TV, and share it to all your people. One love. Good night. Stay safe. I will see you guys next week.